14 deals, 6 months, $5.4 million. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about my first 6 months in real estate, how I sold and closed 14 deals that netted in over $5.4 million, as well as talk about my own investment portfolio that I began to put together, that I'll talk about a little bit later in this video. So my first 6 months in real estate actually began before my first 6 months in real estate. And what do I mean by that? Well, this dates back to 1999 when I started buying real estate. I owned 2 properties that I sold and cashed out in 2010. I took a break from the game that I was participating in at the time, uneducated and very part-time, to take a step back and look at what was going on. I moved around to a few apartments from the city and back out to the suburbs when my wife and I started to look at an investment property. We set out on a mission to house hack. That would be living in one unit of a multifamily building and renting out the other. We were lucky in that we saved up enough money to put 20% down. And after months of looking online and educating ourselves, we did finally buy, in 2014, a really nice 2-family that we lived in. Now, I will say, we looked at hundreds online before we looked at 100 in person, before we bid on 10 to get beat out and lost offers. And the property that we purchased was one that we swiped left to the photos with because we didn't like the way that it looked online. And we finally went to the property, we found that it was a 10 out of a 10, and we purchased it, and it was great. So we moved into that property in November in 2014 and got a tenant upstairs quickly after that. And in July 2015, I started my full-time career in real estate. Okay, so why am I telling you about this 6 months in advance? Because you absolutely have to have an action plan. I knew that I needed to take steps prior to taking the leap into a new career to give myself structure, leverage, and keep my expenses down every month, and that's the beauty of house hack. So my first 6 months from July to February 2016 went as follows. I sold and closed 14 real estate transactions. Now, for some, getting into real estate as a new agent, it can be daunting. Most people don't make it, or they really struggle and they really don't start to see the results until after 6 months, in my experience, and speaking with other agents and doing my own research on my own online. To get to where I wanted to be, I knew that I had to be in front of as many people as possible, and with that, I did leverage and data mine my own personal contacts, loan originators, other realtors, home inspectors, appraisers, anybody that I knew that was in the industry, I was reaching out to meet with, either over a lunch or a coffee, or just to pick up the phone and speak with them. And most especially my friends and family. My first 6 deals came from friends and my own personal network, from loan originators and my friends, which was great. And I still do business with those people today. It's a beautiful relationship. And I'm glad I had the relationships with them pre-real estate career-wise to expand on that relationship and reap the rewards of the business to be had there. At the time, I did start with a franchise, not knowing very much about how a larger brokerage worked, and was on a team. And it was all fine and well, and I was taken care of. I was cut in on a few deals that I split with another buyer agent, but I predominantly brought more deals to the table as far as listings from my own network and buyers that I had accrued from my own database. I went on to build a sub-business in wholesaling at the same time, where I was marketing to motivated sellers to find off-market deals, either to keep myself or to sell to like-minded investors. At the end of the year, when all the books were closed out, I realized that my accomplishment was pretty robust and lofty, and 2, that I was named Rookie of the Year at the company that I worked with out of 600 agents. Now, while I was out hustling, selling all this real estate in that time period, from July 2015 to the end of January 2016, house hacking was totally paying off, keeping my expenses low out per month, as well as tugging away all the commissions made. Now, I have to disclose, I am not a financial planner. I cannot give financial advice. However, looking back in time, in 2008, when I was an employee and I was contributing heavily to my 401k account, I did see, after the last recession, I did see what happened to the 401k account, which nearly got cut in half. And I vowed that I would never let that happen again on my watch. So in 2015, when I left my previous career, I did take a large withdrawal out of my 401k, knowing that I would have to pay a penalty back. But I had a plan, and that was to invest it in real estate. When I purchased my first property in 1999 at a bottom, I did see a rapid rise in growth and sold it for a decent profit. So back in 2015, I felt, based on what I was seeing in the market, and now that I was in real estate full-time, that there was an opportunity to be had. And the penalty to pay that back wasn't as merely as bad as the long-term profits as buying and holding investment real estate. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just my own personal story that I'm sharing with you. So I ended up taking a large sum of that 401k money to purchase my second investment property, which was a condo. Now, I must say, I'm not a big fan of condos in investments. Generally, they take the longest to sell, they go down the fastest when there is a recession, and they do take longer to come back in appreciation. However, I had an action plan and I had done some research, and at the time, there were only 9 condominiums for sale in this particular area that I live in the North Shore area in Salem. And at the time, I had paid $195,000 for it, which I thought was a good value. It was a well-run building. It was a nice 2-bed, 1-bath unit. I did a very light makeover, paint, light fixtures, and a deep cleaning. And I ended up renting that apartment out very quickly for $1,675. I did put 20% down on that property, and here's how the cash flow looked. $195,000 at 20% down, spread out over a 30-year fixed mortgage at a loan rate of 3.75 and a ridiculously low condo fee of $245 a month with a base monthly payment of $950 and the condo fee combined at $245. I was looking at a monthly expense of $1,145 minus that of the $1,675, and that was my cash flow profit per month. It was a beautiful condo in a well-run building. I would rate it a B+, and I had wonderful tenants that lived there. I held that property for a year before selling it and exchanging into another 2-family around the corner from where our first 2-family building was. My overall experience with the building that I purchased that we lived in was spectacular. I had very little maintenance to do because the building was done over. We lived on the property, and I was lucky enough to have 2 professional tenants that were wonderful that we became friends with. And the tenant that lived in the condominium that we once owned went on to rent another apartment from me in another building that I helped manage for another investor. And since then, that tenant has become a friend, and I've sold him a 2-family building in the area as well. And now he's on track to become a long-term investor as well. I hope this story inspires and enlightens a lot of you guys out there that are either just getting into real estate or have been into real estate but haven't invested and put your own skin into the game yet to do so. It can be a wonderful thing. I'm not saying that everyone's experience is going to be like mine, but if you do take the time to put an action plan in place, follow the steps, immerse yourself in real estate, it can be a beautiful thing, and you can have a really wonderful experience. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're getting something out of this. Again, this is to inspire those out there. Please get out there and buy and sell as much real estate as you possibly can. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for my next video when it gets uploaded. And thanks for watching.